Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is Brainer225, and today I think I'll take you through my cubic burn deck profile. I love cubics, it's from Dark Side Dimensions. The main character that used them was Igami. He was the bad guy in the movie. I seriously recommend that you check out the movie. It's a pretty badass anime. And thanks to Ultra Pro, I had this beautiful My Little Pony Villains playmat. Sombra, Discord, Nightmare Moon, and Chrysalis. Discord became a good guy later in the show, but that's irrelevant. What is relevant is my cubic burn deck. So now let me take you through a deck profile and the cards I choose to play with. Now the main card of the deck. Main card of your deck. 1, 2... Triple Dooza, the Meteor Cubic Vessel. He's your foolish burial of the deck because you could send any cubic card from your deck to the grave. And I'll explain to you why. That this card, you should run 3 of this in the deck. I'll explain in a little bit. Next, this is a bit of a joke. 3 black sperm. I got this as a hilarious joke because black sperm. This is a good joke. But seriously, his name is 3 Yugioh, the Cubic Seed. You need to run this card to deck. Reason why is because this card can't be destroyed by battle, and when it is attacked, or if you attack with it, the monster that it battles with gets 1 cubic counter, and its attack is reduced to 0, and its effects are negated.
But yeah, still very nice. And
so that's... And when it's put in the spell trap zone, because that's what happens when it's attacked. Let's put it in the spell trap zone. That's what happens. It gets... It gets, when it's put in the spell trap card zone after it battles, that's what happens, and like I said before, the opponent's monster's attack is reduced to 0, and its effects are negated.
For these kind of tunes. So, just if you guys were wondering if we get... So, a booster box would be about 8 foils for this set, I believe, about 4 to
Next,
6
the burn card of the deck, and one of your main boss monsters. 3 Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. Let me explain to you how he works. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and it must be special summoned by revealing 3 other cubic cards in your hand with different names. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. It's also unaffected by monster effects. So that means Crystal Wing Synchro or Dragon's effect is fucked, pretty much. If you hear anything in the background, I'm actually also watching a YouTube video of Simply Unlucky. He is an amazing YouTuber. I suggest you check him out. Anyway, back to the deck profile. Now, when after he's special summoned, and it is also unaffected by other monsters, activated effects, his original attack is 3,000 or less. So that means Crystal Wing and Scarlet, Red Dragon, Archfiend, those effects will not work. And when it destroys a monster, it can make a second attack during this battle phase. That means after it's summoned. Then during your amp phase, each player takes 3,000 points of damage. So, why would you use a card that would deal 3,000 points of damage? Well, I use other cards in my deck to help me do more burn damage, so I could kill my opponent quicker. So, yeah. Next up, 1 Dark Onyx to Cubic Beast. This card can only be special summoned by sending 1 cubic monster from you control to the graveyard. If it's summoned this way, this card gains 1,000 attack. You would use this after after Yugioh. If you summon Yugioh, and then if you had this card in your hand, it would be attacked. And then when this card destroys a monster by balance, you could target up to 2 Yugioh the Cubic Sea in your graveyard. Send this card to the graveyard. If you do special summon them, then you can add 1 Blade Garudia, the Cubic Beast, from your deck to your hand. So, yeah, this is... And after you do that, let me explain to you when I show you the next card, which is Blade Garudia. Blade Garudia, the Cubic Beast. It is much stronger because after you send 2 Yugioh to the grave, it gains 2,000 attack, and this card can make a second attack during each battle phase. If anyone's card destroys a monster by battle, you can target up to 3 Yugioh to Cubic Sea in your graveyard. Send this card to the graveyard. If you do special summon them, then you can add 1 Buster Gundle the Cubic Behemoth from your deck to your hand, which is the next card I'm about to show you. 2 Buster Gundle the Cubic Behemoth. He's also one of your main boss monsters. He's a level 4, but it requires 3 cubics to summon him, so you could send a 3 Yugioh, or any other 3 cubic monsters you have. And it gains 3,000 attack with each monster that is sent, so it's 1,000 for each, 1, 2, 3. And it can make up to 3 attacks during each battle phase. And if this card in your possession is set to your graveyard by your opponent's card by battle or card effect, you can add up to 3 cubic monsters in your grave, special summon them. They can add 1 cubic card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So when you do this, you can recycle back to any cubic monster that's in your grave, like any cubic monster at all to special summon. Like you can use your Yugioh again. Next up is let me try to zoom in and get him. Vulcan Daryl the Cubic King. And it cannot be normal set, must be special summoned from your hand by sending 2 cubic monsters you control to the graveyard. Summon this way, this card gains 600 attack, and if this card is special summoned from the hand, it inflicts 800 points of damage to your opponent, which is one of the other cards I use to help me kill my opponent quicker. And then, after the damage step, if this card is battled, you can target 3 Yugioh the Cubics in your graveyard, send this card to the graveyard. If you do special summon them, then you can add 1 Enduria Doomvolt, the Cubic Emperor, from your deck to your hand. Which is the next card I'm about to show you, Enduria Doomvolt, the Cubic Emperor. It says, cannot be normal set, must be special summoned from your hand by sending 3 cubic monsters you control to the graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If summoned this way, this card gains 2,400 attack. This card is special summoned from the hand, and it can also inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent. This card in your possession is set to your graveyard by your opponent's card effect or battle. You can target 3 cubic monsters in your graveyard, special summon them, then you can add 1 cubic card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, so it's another recycle card. Next up, the 3 hand traps on the deck. I run 3 Ghost Ogre. Why I run 3 Ghost Ogre is because I go up against decks that use a lot of monster effects, like a lot of the time. I also especially use this deck against this card against ABC monsters, like ABC Dragon Buster, so I can discard this card to destroy it, and then if I had ally just a Psycho Reader, which I'm trying to look for, and put it in my side deck, I would run that as well in my side deck. Next up, the last 2 monsters of the deck, which is equals 19. 2 Elemental Hero Prisma. You would be thinking, why would I run an Elemental Hero monster? Well, let me show you one of the cards I'm using in my extra deck. You see Utopia, but that's the one I'm trying to show you. Crimson Nova Trinity, the Dark Cubic Lord. It says it requires 3 Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. And let me explain to you its effects and read it to you. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials, cannot be special summoned by other ways. Cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and when this card declares an attack, have your opponent's life points. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can activate its effect. This card can make a second attack during this battle phase, and if you take effect damage, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the same amount of damage you would take. So that's pretty much it. It says, must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials, but Elemental Hero Prisma. If I had 2 Crimson Nova in my hand, and I have Prisma, I summon Prisma, reveal this, send the 3rd to the grave, then I would use the trap I'm about to show you later on, and I'll explain. Next up, one of the 3 main cards to use the deck. Triple Cubic Karma. Cubic Karma is what the card you use to send Yugioh to the grave to increase your monster's attack by 800 for each 1 sent. So that means 2,400 extra attack points. So that means you can make one of your Crimson Nova like 5,400, or any other cubic monster 2,400 if your monster's attack points is 0. And during your opponent's turn, and it says also during your opponent's turn, if Yugioh the Cubic Seed is special summoned by the effect of a Cubic monster, I could send this card to the grave, and if you do, you can have your opponent's life points. You can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Cubic monster from your deck to your hand. So when you normal summon Duza, you send this to the grave, you banish it, then you add Crimson Nova, then you special summon Crimson Nova if you have the other necessary Cubic cards in your hand. Normally, in most Cubic decks, people run 3 Cubic Wave, but I only run 1. Because with how I built my deck, since that's a completely burn deck, it's just basically a burn deck, I can OTK my opponent without using Cubic Wave, but I just want to run 1, because it says you can target 1 Cubic monster you control and reset monster your opponent controls. Attack of that monster you control becomes double its current attack, and if it does, the attack of that monster your opponent controls becomes halved its current attack. You can banish this card, and any number of Cubic monsters from your graveyard for target face-up monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of those banished Cubic monsters. Place 1 Cubic counter on each of them. Monsters with Cubic counter cannot attack, and also negate their effects. So it's another card, just like Yugioh, has the same effect as Yugioh. Next, the one card I use for effect damage. Meteor of Destruction, a good classic card. It says you can inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent's life points. You can activate this card if your opponent's life points are 3,000 or less. So, but still, it's a good card to have in the deck. Next up, 1 Wave Motion Cannon. You can send this card from the field to the graveyard during your main phase, and then inflict direct damage equal to your opponent's life points equal to the number of standby phases that passed after this card is activated, multiplied by 1,000. So, with each turn that's passed during the standby. Next, for board wiping, double Dark Hole. Gotta run Dark Hole in the deck. If I end up having this card in my hand when I go first, then I'm able to bring out Crimson Nova. I'm able to OTK my opponent within 2 turns. Which is what I hope for with this deck. Sometimes it's luck. Next, double Twin Twister for spell and trap removal. I'm actually gonna thinking of cutting out the Meteor of Destruction, running 3 Twin Twister. Because if you have Twin Twister and Cubic Karma in your hand, you could search out for Crimson Nova or any other Cubic monster. Next, another card to use for effect for burn damage, double Ukaze. A very old yet classic card. All it says, inflict 800 damage to your opponent, so your opponent takes 800 points of damage. So that's pretty basic. 800 points of damage, just like Meteor of Destruction. Which also helps me OTK my opponent. Next up, the traps. Next up for traps. Triple Unification of the Cubic Lords. This card is the polymerization of the deck, but I also use it for its secondary effect. It also says, fusion summon 1 Cubic Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. If a face-up Cubic monster destroyed by battle or leaves the field, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or lower Cubic monster from your hand or deck, ignoring summoning conditions. If you do, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn. So you could summon Duza, keep on dumping your Cubic Karma, and adding Crimson Nova. So if your opponent pops it, it would be a mistake. Your opponent would have fucked up. Next up, for my traps, triple Cubic Rebirth.
Was promoting the new tins by putting the first edition packs in them. So if you guys have noticed, like even throughout my older
Cubic Rebirth. When an opponent's sponsor declares a direct attack, so basically if your opponent plays Raigeki or Dark Hole to destroy all monsters on the field, then it says target the attacking monster your opponent's special summon. So let me read that again. When an opponent's sponsor declares a direct attack, let me repeat myself, so after your opponent declares a direct attack, when your opponent plays Dark Hole or Raigeki, then plays another monster, declares a direct attack, target the attacking monster your opponent's special summons in attack position as many monsters as possible from their hand or deck and or graveyard with the same name as that monster. Also, the attack of the monster and those special summoned monsters become 0. Place 1 Cubic counter on each. Monsters with a Cubic counter can attack and their effects are negated. Also, after that, if any Cubic monsters cubic counters were placed by this effect. You could special summon 1/4 a lower cubic monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning condition. So you could summon back Duza if you wanted to, and you could summon Duza if you had in your hand. Then last card I used for burn damage in deck, Magic Cylinder.
And so let's get started with this booster box.
Magic Cylinder. All of you duelists pretty much know what this does. Well, let me read the effects for people who don't know. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster and you get an attack if you do inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. So this is another card I use to help me kill my opponent quicker for an OTK. Next up, the extra deck. 1 Crimson Nova Trinity, because you only need 1. 1 Utopia, and 1 Utopia the Lightning. And 1 number 101 Silent on our Arc. And the only Link monster I have in the deck, only need 1 Link monster, which is Top Ologic Bomber Dragon. Requires 2 effect monsters, and if another monster is special summoned to a zone, a Link monster points to. So basically, if your opponent uses ABCs and brings out an ABC Dragon Buster or Tsukiyomi, you can destroy all monsters in the main monster zone, and also your other monsters can attack for the rest of this turn, but if you use this on your opponent's turn, it really wouldn't matter. And after damage calculation, this card attacked an opponent's monster, like damage to your opponent equal to the monster's original attack. So I also use this card to help me push for an OTK. So yeah, that's it for my burn deck and all my cards over there. So that's it for my cubic burn deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and use my deck as a guide to what other cards you would prefer to play. You can use the deck I've created. I don't mind if you copy it. I really don't care. I'm just using this to show you how competitive cubics can be. They're very competitive, and I made this deck competitive because I took this deck to my locals and I came in first place. So I hope you've enjoyed this deck profile. So this is Barney Nerd 225 signing out.